The blood gift, the battlefield was silent, but the silence was heavy. Smoke rose from broken machines and burning ships. The ground was covered with the remains of war. A lone human soldier walked slowly among the ruins. His uniform was torn, his arm bleeding, and his steps unsteady. Yet his eyes stayed sharp, searching, listening. He had survived when many others had not. The war between humans and this alien race had lasted for months. Both sides had lost too much. He thought he was the only one alive in this part of the wasteland until he heard the sound. It was soft, fragile, almost like a whisper. It was not the cry of a soldier. It was the cry of a child. He followed the sound, moving carefully through the smoke. Behind a broken piece of metal he saw her, the alien child. Her skin was pale green, her eyes half closed, her body shaking as she struggled to breathe. She looked no older than 8 years, small and delicate. She was not a warrior. She was only a child caught in the fire of war. The soldier froze. His orders were clear: the enemy must never be trusted. But this was not an enemy soldier. This was an innocent child. His human heart pushed aside the voice of orders. He knelt beside her, his hand trembling as he touched her forehead. She was burning with fever. Her veins were dark, her pulse weak. Moments later, a group of medics rushed to the scene. They checked the child and spoke quickly in their alien language, their voices sharp with worry. One medic turned to the soldier and explained in broken human speech. The girl would die without blood. They had tried everything, but her body rejected all alien donors. The soldier asked in shock, "Why me?" The medic explained that her rare condition matched only one possibility: human blood. Somehow her body could accept it. The science behind it was a mystery, but there was no time to explain. The girl had only minutes left. The soldier's chest tightened. His own body was weak from wounds, and he knew giving blood could endanger his life. Yet when he looked down at her small, trembling hands, he felt something he could not explain. He saw innocence in her eyes. He saw fear, and he knew he could not walk away. He gave his answer without hesitation. "Do it." The medics worked fast. They cleaned his arm, set up the tubes, and began the transfer. The soldier's eyes stayed locked on the girl. At first, nothing happened. Her breathing was shallow, her chest rising slowly as if each breath might be her last. The soldier felt his own strength fading as the blood left his body. His head grew heavy, his vision blurred. Then a change. The girl's color began to return. Her lips moved. She opened her eyes wider, and for the first time she focused on him. Their eyes met, human and alien, enemies by war, but now bound by something deeper. The soldier felt a strange warmth in his chest, not just from weakness, but from connection. The medics watched with disbelief. They whispered to one another, their eyes wide. One of them said in awe, "It works. It truly works." The soldier wanted to smile, but his body was too weak. He leaned back against the cold metal behind him, his face pale. Yet inside he felt peace. He had saved a life that others had given up on. But as the medics whispered, he caught fragments of their words. They were not just surprised. They were afraid. His blood had not only saved her life, it had done something more. The machines showed signs of rapid recovery, her heart stronger than before, her cells changing, adapting. It was as if his blood was not only healing her, but giving her something new, something her kind had never known. The soldier did not understand it yet, but the medics did. They looked at him with a mixture of respect and fear. His blood was not just medicine. It was power. The girl, still weak, reached out her small hand and touched his. Her skin was cool, her fingers shaking, but the grip was real. The soldier felt the bond grow stronger in that touch. He had crossed the line between species, between war and peace, between enemy and savior. Minutes later, when the blood transfer ended, the medics warned him to rest. His body was at its limit, but he did not care about himself. He only asked, "Will she live?" One medic bowed his head and answered, "Yes, because of you." The soldier closed his eyes, relief washing over him. But in the silence that followed, he did not notice the way the medics watched him. He did not hear the quiet words they spoke about destiny, about change, about what this act would mean for their people. He thought he had given only blood. He did not yet know that he had given something far greater. He had given them a future, and somewhere, far away, the child's mother was already on her way. She would not only see a human who had saved her daughter, she would see the one who could give her people a new legacy. The soldier rested, unaware that his sacrifice had already begun to rewrite history. The mother's gratitude, the soldier awoke hours later, his body heavy as stone. His vision cleared slowly, and the battlefield around him looked different. The fires had burned out, the smoke had thinned, and strange banners now rose over the ruins. He was not alone anymore. Alien soldiers stood in formation, their weapons lowered but ready. They were watching him. He tried to move, but his arms shook with weakness. Before he could speak, he heard a sound, a deep, commanding voice that carried both sorrow and strength. The crowd of alien warriors parted, and she appeared, the mother. She was unlike any figure he had ever seen. Her tall frame was draped in flowing robes of emerald silk, her eyes sharp as blades, yet filled with grief. Her skin shimmered faintly under the fading starlight, and her presence was like a storm waiting to break. She walked with calm steps, but every soldier bowed as she passed, her gaze locked on the human. For a long moment she said nothing. Then she looked at the child lying beside him. The girl was breathing evenly now, her chest rising steady, her face calm. The mother dropped to her knees and gathered the child into her arms. She pressed her lips to the girl's forehead, her trembling hands unable to hide her relief. When she finally turned her eyes back to the soldier, there was fire in them. Not anger, but something more dangerous, intensity. "You," she said in her language, her voice low but clear. One of the medics stepped forward to translate, though it seemed she hardly needed it. Her tone alone carried the meaning. "You gave your blood to save my daughter," the soldier swallowed, his throat dry. He wanted to answer, but his strength was too low. He only managed a nod. The mother leaned closer, her eyes scanning his face as if she wanted to see every line, every scar, every secret. Then she did something none of the soldiers expected. She lowered her head in respect. A ruler of her people bowing to a human enemy. "You are her savior," she whispered. The soldiers around them shifted uneasily. They had fought against humans for years. To see their leader bow before one was like watching the stars fall from the sky. Some of them clenched their fists. Others looked away, unable to understand what they were witnessing. The human, still weak, tried to speak. His voice cracked as he forced the words out. "She is just a child. She did not deserve to die." The mother's expression softened, but only for a moment. Then it hardened again, her gaze sharp as iron. "You gave more than life," she said slowly. "You gave her your blood. Do you understand what this means?" The soldier shook his head. He did not. The mother straightened, her robes flowing like waves. She looked at her people, then back at him. "Your blood runs in her veins now. Your essence lives inside her. This bond cannot be broken." The soldier felt unease rise in his chest. He had wanted only to save a life, not to create a bond between species. But the way she spoke, it was as if he had written his name into their history. The mother stood tall and extended her hand toward him. "From this moment, you are no longer our enemy. You are honored. You are bound to us." The alien soldiers stirred, their voices murmuring in confusion. Some did not agree. Some whispered of danger, of betrayal, of curses. But none dared to challenge her word. She was their leader, and her voice was law. The human looked at her hand, unsure if he should take it. He hesitated, but then he saw the child again, resting peacefully against her mother's chest. That sight gave him courage. Slowly, he lifted his weak arm and placed his hand in hers. The crowd gasped. Her grip was strong, her touch warm. She held his hand not as a gesture of thanks, but as if sealing a pact. "Your blood has saved my daughter," she said. "For this my people owe you a debt that cannot be measured. But remember this, debts must be repaid, and I will not forget." Her words carried a weight he could not yet understand. As the night deepened, they escorted him away from the ruins, no longer as a prisoner, but as a guest of honor. He was taken into their city, a place of towering crystal spires and glowing streets, where alien eyes followed him with suspicion and wonder. Everywhere he went, whispers spread. The human who gave his blood. The savior of the child. The chosen one. The soldier felt uneasy with every step. He had wanted nothing but to save an innocent life. Yet here, among them, he was becoming something larger than himself. The mother never left her daughter's side, but her eyes often returned to him. Each time her stare was filled not only with gratitude, but with expectation. She was not finished with him. He could feel it. That night, as he lay in a chamber of crystal walls, too strange to feel like shelter, he could not sleep. The silence pressed on him, and his mind replayed her words again and again. You are bound to us. He closed his eyes, but rest never came. Deep inside, he knew the truth. His act of kindness was not the end of the story. It was only the beginning. And somewhere in the heart of the alien city, the mother was already planning what she would ask of him next. The legacy demand. The alien city glowed like a sea of stars, each tower shining with its own light. From the high balcony of his chamber, the human soldier could see the horizon curve under a pale sky. It should have been beautiful, but all he felt was unease. Every passing hour, whispers grew louder. Wherever he walked, alien eyes followed. Some looked at him with awe, others with suspicion. He had become a story before he even understood what that story meant. The child he had saved was healing quickly. Too quickly. The medics reported her body was stronger than before. Her blood cells adapting in ways no one had seen in their people. They called it a miracle. But miracles never came without questions, and questions often led to demands. It was late in the evening when the guards arrived. They bowed to him with stiff movements, their faces unreadable. She wishes to see you, one said. There was no need to explain who she was. They led him through halls of polished stone, each wall carved with glowing lines that seemed to pulse like veins. At the end was a massive door, guarded by warriors in golden armor. The door opened silently, revealing a vast chamber lit by crystals suspended in the air. At the center, seated on a throne carved from living rock, was the mother. Her daughter rested beside her on a smaller seat, eyes bright and curious as she stared at the human. The girl smiled faintly, but her mother's face was cold and unreadable. The soldier bowed his head slightly, unsure of the proper custom. He wanted to speak, but the silence in the chamber was heavy, waiting for her words. You saved her, the mother began, her voice carrying through the chamber like a blade. For that there are no words great enough. But gratitude is not enough. Gratitude fades. Legacy endures. The soldier frowned, unsure of her meaning. I gave blood, he said carefully. That is all I had to give. Her eyes narrowed. No, you gave more than blood. You gave us a future. The words struck him like a stone. He wanted to deny them, but he could not forget what he had seen. The girl's recovery was not normal. His blood had changed her, strengthened her. Somehow his essence had woven itself into her being. The mother rose from the throne and stepped closer. She moved with the grace of a ruler, but her presence was heavy, pressing down on him. Our people have long struggled with weakness of the body. Disease claims too many. Strength has become rare. But your blood, she paused, her eyes gleaming. Your blood carries what we lack. It carries resilience. It carries power. He shook his head, taking a step back. I did not mean to change her. I only wanted to save her life. Her gaze sharpened, her voice low. Intent does not matter. The bond is formed. My daughter carries your blood. She carries your strength. But this is not enough. One child cannot bear a future alone. The soldier felt his heart race. The chamber seemed to close around him. What are you saying? She did not hesitate. Her words were clear, final. You must give us your legacy. You must pass your blood into our line, into our people. Not just through her, but through the children you will give. The silence that followed was unbearable. He stared at her, struggling to find his voice. You want me to... His throat tightened. To father children for your people. The mother stood tall, her expression calm, but her eyes burned. Yes, this is what I demand. Your blood is too valuable to waste. It must live on. Not as a single act, but as a foundation for generations. He stepped back again, his fists tightening. I am a soldier, not a... breeder. Her voice dropped lower, colder. You are more than a soldier now. You are the one who saved my daughter. You are the one whose blood reshaped her body. You are not just human anymore. You are part of us. The girl beside her tilted her head, watching him with innocent curiosity. She did not understand the weight of the words spoken in her presence. Her small smile made his heart ache. He had saved her, and now that act chained him to something greater than himself. The mother continued. If you refuse, you dishonor the bond. You dishonor the life you saved, and you dishonor me. Her tone was not threatening, but the weight behind it was worse than any weapon. He could feel the eyes of guards on him, the silence of the chamber pressing in. He realized she was not asking. She was declaring. His breath came hard, his mind torn in two. On one side was his humanity, his loyalty to his own kind, his freedom. On the other was the life of the child, the bond he had created, and the unspoken truth that his refusal could ignite a storm between their species. He wanted to say no. He wanted to shout it. But when he looked at the girl again, weak but alive, he could not. His voice failed him. The mother leaned close, her whisper sharp as a knife. Think carefully, human. This is not just about you. This is about what your blood means, what your name will mean. You can walk away, but know this, your legacy will not. It already flows in her veins. You cannot undo it. You can only decide whether it will be remembered as betrayal or as salvation. The soldier's chest tightened. He had thought his sacrifice was an act of mercy, a moment of humanity in the ruins of war. Now it was being twisted into something larger, something that could reshape the future of two species. And as he stood there, silent, the mother's eyes never left his. She had demanded his legacy, and he knew she would not stop until she had it. Between worlds, the human soldier lay awake in his chamber, staring at the ceiling carved from crystal. He had not slept since the mother's demand. Her words echoed in his mind again and again. You must give us your legacy. It was not a request. It was a sentence. He pressed his hands to his face, trying to block out the weight of it. On Earth, he was only a soldier, a man trained to follow orders and fight wars. But here, among these aliens, he was being turned into something else, something he had never wanted to be. A savior, a symbol, a vessel for the future. The next morning, he was led through the city by guards. The alien streets were alive with movement, towering figures in flowing robes, merchants selling glowing fruit, children with pale green skin chasing each other between crystal spires. All of them paused to watch him. Whispers rose like wind through the crowd. The human, the blood giver, the savior of the child. Some reached out to touch him, their eyes filled with wonder. Others turned their faces away as if his presence was a curse. He could feel the divide. Half the city saw him as hope. The other half saw him as danger. The mother's daughter walked beside him, her small hand gripping his. She smiled often, as if she had already decided he was part of her life. Her eyes shone with trust, and it made his chest ache. He had saved her, yes, but now she was a chain he could not break. When they reached the great square, a crowd was waiting. At the center stood the mother, her robe flowing like a river of emerald. She raised her hand, and the crowd fell silent. This is the one, she declared, her voice strong. This is the human whose blood saved my daughter. His sacrifice is our gift. His legacy will be our strength. The crowd erupted, some cheering, others shouting in protest. One voice rose above the rest. He is not one of us. He is an enemy! The mother's eyes flashed, silencing the cry with a single glare. He is bound to us now. His blood proves it. The soldier stood frozen, the weight of thousands of eyes crushing him. He wanted to speak, to say he had not agreed to this, but his voice died in his throat. He saw the child again clinging to his arm, and he could not. Later, as the crowd dispersed, he was taken back to the palace. There, in a quiet hall, he was approached by one of the alien elders. The elder's face was lined with age, his eyes heavy with doubt. He spoke softly so no guards could hear. You should leave, the elder said. The mother binds you with words, but she does not see the danger. Your blood is not only life, it is change. It could divide our people. Some already whisper of rebellion. The soldier frowned. I cannot leave. Not without her. He looked at the child resting nearby. The elder sighed. That is why you are trapped. She is your chain, and her mother knows it. The soldier felt his heart tighten. He wanted to run, to escape back to Earth, back to the life he understood. But each time he thought of leaving, he saw the child's face, the way her small hand had clung to his. She was alive because of him. Could he abandon her? That night he stood on the balcony again, staring at the alien stars. He felt caught between two worlds. On one side was Earth, his people, his duty as a soldier. On the other was this city, this child, and a mother who demanded his future. As he stood lost in thought, the mother appeared. She moved silently, her presence filling the balcony like a storm. She stood beside him, looking out at the stars. For a long moment, neither spoke. Then she turned her eyes on him. You are restless, she said. He clenched his jaw. You are asking me to give up my life, to become something I never chose. Her gaze was steady. No, I am asking you to see the truth. You were chosen the moment you gave your blood. You cannot undo it, he shook his head. I am human. I belong to my people. I do not belong here. She stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. And yet part of you already does. My daughter carries your blood. That bond ties you to us. You can deny it, but it will not vanish. He turned away, his fists tight. What you want is not gratitude. It is control. Her eyes hardened. What I want is survival. My people are dying. Your blood is the answer. You think I demand this for myself? No, I demand it for every child, every life yet to be born. You are not only human anymore. You are more. The soldier felt the world closing in. He wanted to shout at her, to break the chain she was tightening around him. But then the child's laugh echoed from the chamber inside, soft, warm, full of life. It broke him. He pressed his hands against the railing, his voice shaking. If I stay, I lose myself. If I leave, she dies inside without me. Tell me, how can I choose between worlds? The mother's expression softened for the first time. You do not choose. The choice was made the moment your blood touched hers. The soldier closed his eyes, his heart torn in two. He was between worlds now, and there was no path back. And deep within the alien city, rumors grew stronger. Some worshipped him. Others planned to destroy him. He did not know it yet, but his presence would ignite a storm that neither his people nor hers could escape. The final choice, the chamber of the council, was vast, its ceiling lost in shadow, its walls lined with towering figures carved from crystal. At the center stood a circular platform, and upon it the human soldier was led. His steps echoed in the silence, each one heavier than the last. Around him the council members sat on high seats, their faces stern, their robes gleaming like molten stone. The mother stood near the front, her daughter at her side, her eyes sharp as blades. The soldier felt the weight of every gaze. These were the rulers of her people, the voices of law and destiny. They had gathered not to thank him, but to decide what he must become. One elder rose, his voice cold. This human carries blood that changes life. Already the child has grown stronger. What if his blood spreads further? Will it unite us, or will it destroy what we are? Another elder leaned forward, his tone harsh. We should not risk it. He is not one of us. His presence is poison. Send him back to his world. The chamber filled with murmurs. Some nodded in agreement, others shook their heads in protest. The air trembled with division. Then the mother raised her hand. The voices fell silent at once. She stepped forward, her robe flowing like a river of green fire. Her eyes never left the soldier as she spoke. He is not poison, she said firmly. He is salvation. His blood saved my daughter when all else failed. It carries strength we have long been denied. If we turn him away, we turn away our future. Her words cut through the silence. Some elders lowered their eyes, ashamed. Others looked angrier than before. But none could deny the truth. The child, alive and strong, was living proof. The soldier stood frozen, his throat dry. He wanted to speak, to defend himself, but fear locked his voice. The mother turned fully toward him. You must choose, she said. Her voice was steady, but her eyes burned with fire. Will you walk away, leaving this bond unfinished, leaving her as the only vessel of your blood? Or will you stay and give us your legacy, your strength for generations to come? The soldier's chest tightened. He looked at the girl, sitting quietly beside her mother. She smiled at him, small and innocent, unaware of the storm surrounding her. His heart broke at the sight. He had saved her life, but now her life chained his. He closed his eyes, and for a moment he saw Earth. He saw the mountains he once climbed, the sea he once swam in, the comrades he once fought beside. He remembered laughter, the taste of freedom, the simple truth of belonging to his own kind. Then he opened his eyes again and saw the alien city, its towers glowing like stars. He saw the council divided but watching. He saw the mother, her strength unbending, her demand unshaken. And he saw the child, the fragile bridge between two worlds, carrying his blood in her veins. His heart pounded. He was between two destinies, and both paths felt like chains. I never asked for this, he whispered, his voice breaking. The mother stepped closer, her tone softer now. No one chooses destiny. It chooses us. You gave freely, human. You gave your blood without demand. That act bound you to us. You can walk away, but you will always belong to her, and to me. The council chamber grew still. Every face turned to him. The silence pressed on his chest like stone. If he said yes, he would become theirs. his bloodline tied forever to a people not his own. If he said no, he would betray the bond he had formed, and perhaps ignite a war that could burn both their worlds. His lips parted, but no words came. His mind screamed for freedom, yet his heart whispered of the child, of her trust, of the life he had saved. The mother's eyes searched his, fierce but pleading. The council leaned forward, waiting for his choice. And in that unbearable silence, the soldier realized the truth. His act of kindness had never been small. It had shaken the roots of two civilizations. His choice now would decide whether they grew together or tore each other apart. The air in the chamber grew heavy, every breath strained, every heartbeat loud. The soldier took a step forward. His eyes lifted, his voice steady at last. The words caught in his throat. His decision was there, burning inside him, ready to shatter the silence. But before he could speak, a sound cut through the chamber. A distant roar shook the crystal walls. The ground trembled beneath their feet. Guards rushed in, shouting of unrest, of rebellion rising in the streets. The council erupted in chaos. The mother turned sharply, her eyes wide with fury. The child clung to her arm, frightened. The soldier stood frozen in the storm, his choice unspoken, his fate uncertain. The demand for his legacy still hung in the air, heavier than ever. And as the chamber shook, one truth became clear. His decision would no longer be his alone. The world itself would force it upon him.